You're live, it says. I don't know if I believe it. Let's see if I can bring it up on my phonograph maker. Hold on. Let's go to YouTube. Am I in the center of the frame? I'm not. Which way do I need to go? Do I need to go this way? Ooh, yeah. Okay. Let's see what in the hell is going on. I'm not even signed in. It doesn't matter. Let's just search. Hello, Jerry. Hey, Joe Mama. Hey, Ron Martin. Let's see if I bring this up. Oh, it's I've turned on ads, so I have to watch an ad. There we go. Oh, that's not bad. That's only like a second delay. So let me turn that down so I don't get all confused. How are you guys doing? Just wanted to wipe the dust off, I guess. My studio has been shut down for COVID for a little while. We haven't been doing the Two Seals and a Walrus podcast. I have not been doing new content on Mind Hacking Happiness besides working on some stuff that's going to be coming out in the future and all the TikTok stuff because I'm up to over 1 million viewers on TikTok, although I am being shadow banned, I guess, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all the other channels because of my connection to consciousness science. I'm guessing that's why my TED Talk got canceled. I had a TED Talk interview and a talk approved. And they were like, yeah, we want you to come do this thing. And I put out a video about remote viewing and the science of consciousness allowing that to occur. And a week later, I got my email that said, thanks, but no thanks on that TED Talk. We wish you the best of luck in the future. Very pleased about all your success, etc. And that was it. That was it. TED shut me down. Hello, happy Tuesday, Charlie. Captain, are you really surprised? No, I actually am not very surprised at all that I got canceled by TED. In fact, the conversation that we had, of the first conversation that we had of many, because there's a whole process. They assign you multiple coaches. There's a coach on stage presence, on where to walk, where to move your hands, where to look, how often do you walk. There's a coach on the content of the talk, and then there's another coach that is an emotional connection coach with the audience that you throw in eye contact and special jokes or special references that will then allow you to connect with the audience better, etc. So we had multiple conversations. The first conversation that I had with them, I was like, are you guys sure you understand? You reviewed all the content that I put out? Because everyone in the history of consciousness has been canceled when going up and doing something on a TED stage. I met Graham Hancock a couple of months ago and exchanging emails with him recently. And he was one of the folks that was connected because his talk was basically the war on consciousness, and they canceled him. They canceled Russell Targ, who is a legit laser physicist, because he was going to come to talk to them about the remote viewing program that he put together at the Stanford Research Institute that the CIA ran for 4 decades before they pulled it in-house and made it all classified and quit talking about it. And so they canceled it. And although they didn't cancel it, so he was talking about remote viewing and about Joe McMoneagle and his ability to identify where a nuclear sub is without error. He nailed every nuclear sublocation every time he went out looking for one, and they confirmed it with technology and with surveillance and yada, yada, yada. And it's real science. It's real phenomenological stuff that happens, except you can't talk about it. You can't talk about it because all that stuff's woo-woo. All that stuff makes you crazy people. So, they canceled him. And he, at one point, had built the largest laser in the world. He owned the world record for the largest laser in the world. So he's a legit laser physicist, and he understands quantum mechanics better than just about everybody else, because to be able to do that advanced laser type stuff, it requires quantum mechanics. And he understood consciousness to a level that most people don't. And of course, he went and wanted to talk about remote viewing, and they said, "Oh, absolutely not," and canceled his TED talk as well, because he wanted to talk about the science that the regular um, standard model folks, their minds. I mean, they're smart. Don't get me wrong; they're smart folks. They can do math and science and stuff like that, but they can't wrap their heads around non-locality and how consciousness fits in with that. You need a special, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know. I would love to be able to put one person next to another person in equal IQ and say, why do you get it and why do you not? Um, because there are a bunch of folks who don't get it, and then they just start to you know, they start to denigrate the folks who do get it, but who can't yet measure or mathematize the model. And they point at the inability to mathematize or measure the energies as it doesn't exist. And that's just not true. I mean, even the standard model has missing pieces at this point that they say, oh, well, it's another particle. It's another particle. We predicted stuff, and it's not quite right, but it's almost there. And meanwhile, the little uh, uh, issue that they don't want to discuss is dark matter, and all of this fuzzy math they use to fill in this huge gaping hole in their theory that they can't even get close to mathematizing or measuring. And they want us to believe that is not, it's totally separate from potential consciousness and yada yada yada. But even though we can't measure or mathematize that, we'll just, we'll be able to smooth that over, and we'll figure that out later. We want you to believe in this dark matter thing versus the consciousness thing, even though both of them neither can be measured or mathematized. We want to go with this dark matter thing, even though it's rubbish. So it does scare them, Jerry. Consciousness scares them. Anything like, look, here's the thing. Anytime you're based on your identity, your identity is based on the fact that you're the world's smartest people, and that you can do all of this stuff that other people can't do, and figure out things that other people can't figure out. Then you're faced with a problem that you can't wrap your mind around, literally, because dealing with infinity and non-locality and things like that. It's just tough. It's tough. You have to almost experience it first, and then be able to extrapolate that experience into kind of an understanding of what's going on. Because at the same point that you try to say that you can sort of get it, you can't really wrap your head around much more than 4 dimensions. I mean, you can kind of theorize and extrapolate existing ideas into a bigger space. But listen, man, they're just going to be those folks who say, and their brain just goes, in the sector skips or whatnot, and they're just going to say, no, I can't. I don't even know where to start on that. So I want to say that it doesn't exist, so that my ego doesn't take a hit on being one of the smartest people in the world, because I can't figure this out, and I usually be able to figure stuff out. So that's their existence normally. And then when you hand them something they can't process, it's like, no, that's bullshit. It doesn't exist. The stuff that I can measure and mathematize, and that we can predict and yada yada yada, that's what the universe is based upon. um you know this quantum stuff is all spooky actions at a distance. And even though the evidence is in that 3D space-time is the emergent property from quantum field space, uh somehow the stuff that comes about because of quantum mechanics can then collapse the wave functions of the quantum mechanic foundation that underlies all of 3D space time. So this actually, I want this to manage this versus this managing this, and yeah, they just lose their way a little bit. We'll figure it out a lot better moving forward as a human race increases its intelligence. We're pretty dumb. So hey, we're starting to get a bunch of folks in here. Hey, Sean, glad I could make it. Well, I'm glad you could also make it, Jay. Zesty Washington, good day, sir. Good to see you. Hello, Michaela. Where are you guys from? Where are you guys in from today? I am, of course, in North Carolina, and I am coming to you from Mooresville, which you don't have to search the internet very hard to find my town and state that I live in. Not that I really care. Don't come by without an appointment. In fact, I'll probably be up at the cabin at any point you try to drop by the house because I love it up there in Lake Lure. Getting ready to, we got the legal stuff done, the paperwork and whatnot to start offering people to come up and do a little retreat thing and hang out and do some mind spelunking, maybe do some mindfulness walks, do some talks by the campfire up there. That place is turning out to be, let's pull a term from the 1980s, pretty bitchin'. How about that? How old are you? How old are you? How many of you remember that term from the 1980s? Yeah, I graduated to high school in the late 80s. So I got all those references. I watched the original Top Gun, and I'm waiting for Maverick to come out on streaming before I take a peek at it. Have you guys seen it? I love the original one. It's the reason that I joined the Navy in the first place. It sucked me in. Oh God. But a lot of good things came from that. So I haven't seen the second one though, and I heard the second one's amazing. Um, who else is stopping? We got Colorado Springs, nice. Hello, Michigan. I grew up in Elkhart, Indiana, and graduated Niles High School. So hello to my Michiganders. Now, see, only the Michigander is going to understand when you do this. Now, I don't know if that's good on my screen. It's not good on your screen. So I got to use my left hand to say, where do you live? And then the Michigander will then walk up and say, oh, I live right here because the big mitten. And of course, if you're an Upper Peninsula, I guess here, if you're an Upper Peninsula puke, then you got to say, well, I'm up here. So, I don't know. We kind of don't really classify those as Michiganders. But most folks will be able to hold up their right hand and say, oh, where do you live? And the other person comes up and puts their finger right on your palm, and everybody has COVID. And that sucks. My grandfather used to say bitchin', LOL. I almost put that emoji too. That's funny. Seeds of light are scattered, I see. Coming in from Ohio. Hello, Jerry. Lunchbox. Greetings from New England. Hey, I'm coming up to New England, I don't know, a few weeks, something like that. Maybe a month. I don't know. My wife came in and said we're going to Maine. Yo, dinner's ready? Well, that sucks. I ordered some penne pasta, some blackened shrimp penne pasta from a local restaurant that we favorite. Who they do an amazing job, and the owner's a really nice guy. Place is called Blue Star Grill, without the e, BLUSTAR, and they got some really good food. If you're in this north of Charlotte area off Lake Norman, off of I-77 up here, you can order from Blue Star Grill and get some good food. I'll hang with you for another 5 minutes or so just to say hi and answer any questions that you may have. Sean, you were cybersecurity, correct? One of the things that I managed for Mind Hacking App has absolutely changed my life. Thank you, Michaela, for sharing that opinion with us and that feedback. I really appreciate that. I love to hear you guys get some value out of this stuff that I'm trying to put out. So yeah, one of the portfolios that I managed at a major telecommunications company, a Fortune Global 100 that has fiber into 200 countries and territories. One of the things that I helped manage or helped oversee was security services. And it was one of the things that I kind of geeked out on. I was a systems engineer for Silicon Graphics a long time ago, and was one of the working on some of the most advanced supercomputing equipment on the planet. And so, yeah, we had to learn our own security stuff at first. And this is back in the days when my buddy Chris Klaus was just starting with doing security on Unix machines for NASA, because, and I think I'm one of the issues because of that. Because when I was out at talking at NASA and doing talks and doing little courses and things on media related stuff, media related content, they were trying to figure out how to go from analog into digital and the compression and be able to do a lot of the stuff they wanted to do without having warehouses full of hard drives hooked up and trying to capture stuff. I went poking around on one of the machines that I was using out there at Kennedy Space Center, and yeah, everything was wide open. Everything was super wide open. Like you could get almost at any machine. And so, I mean, it wasn't a really big thing that what's his face from the UK when he hacked NASA. There was like one little firewall box that if you could just you could basically root the thing and bypass it and get into all of the NASA stuff, which is what he found. He found some spreadsheets and whatnot that showed off-world personnel. And ship assignments for the interstellar craft that we had back in the 90s. And but yeah, internet security was super lax back then. But yeah, that's where I kind of started. I came up in as a systems engineer for Silicon Graphics, and I did a lot of. I had a security clearance from the United States government, so I was assigned to a lot of cool shit. And but that's not the only thing I did. I wasn't like a security specialist like Chris was. Chris was a security specialist, and he's a bajillionaire now. He sold to IBM for like 2.8 billion, something like that, and he had a company called ISS. Yes, I did hear you say the dinner's ready. I'm doing a live stream right now. I got a few more minutes, and I'll come down. Are you good? Okay. I don't know if you can hear him or not, but anyway, yeah. Back in the tech days, I used to be able to do some stuff. Did go to a security class for Silicon Graphics one time, and had a security expert in the class, and he challenged everybody to try to break into his machine after he had secured it. And on the first break, basically, I'd taken everything but his background, didn't even leave him a mouse or a keyboard input, no shell access. So he came back and thought his machine was broken. So that's how amazing he was. Mind hacking happiness absolutely changed my life. Thank you. We're picking up there. PA. Hello from PA. I used to date a girl who his parents lived in Erie. No, in State College, PA. Sorry. Hola from Nuevo Mexico. Excellent. Denver, Colorado in the house. Wubba lubba dub dub. That's awesome. Checking in from Colleen, Texas. I love your content and just wish I could wrap my brain around a lot of it. Listen, it's not that tough. I know I speak fast, and I only speak fast on the TikToks because, well, I do speak fast, but I want to get in as much as possible without saying, "Oh, here's part two." Right? I want to be able to give you a piece of information or a tidbit of useful content that isn't chopped up into multiple parts, or gaming the system and trying to get more views of different videos or yada yada yada, whatever. So I speak fast, so sometimes you have to watch things more than once, but all of it you'll be able to find online, and all the stuff that I talk about, unless I'm talking in theoretical terms, which I'll usually identify, I'll try to lay out in the most simple way possible to explain what's going on, and then give you references for you can then go look at the science and dig into the study or whatever it is that I'm talking about, and get that stuff a little better understood for yourself. But don't be too hard on yourself that I'm speaking at a billion miles an hour and talking about some advanced concepts on some stuff. Just take it slow. You'll be able to get your mind wrapped around it. This isn't stuff that's super hard to understand. Our human minds can grasp most of it. Hi from Space City, USA. Nice. All this is amazing stuff. Will they ever declassify the juicy stuff? Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Because one of the things that I wanted to do is a video on um why a group of folks would maybe not want to disclose everything that they know or have connected with extraterrestrial stuff. and why that might be a good idea. Believe it or not. I mean, I am for personally. There's, I'm in two camps. I'm in a shade of gray existence all the time, and so even on the things that I see and hear and show is almost perfectly true. I hold things in a shade of gray potential. That yeah, the answer to this question might be A, might be B, might be C, might be D, might be E out here, and each of those has a different sliding shade of gray potentiality for correct. Um, I'm in both camps on the disclosure of ET related stuff because there are people in the world who would love to see us dead, killed. There are folks, believe it or not, who have countries that, even though they hide it really well, have a very racially motivated biocentrism, and they don't have a lot of difference in their race within their umbrella. And so they don't have racism in their countries per se, but they do have very racist views and would love to see us destroyed. The United States, I'm talking about, we would love to see the U.S. destroyed and all its people enslaved. They don't make that stuff public, but they would love to see that. And so, giving away all the information about the ET technology that the United States has access to, or has reverse engineered, or is partnered with a race of beings to get access to, etc. Giving away all that information, probably not the greatest idea, because at that point that you level the playing field on defense tech, even if it's exotic tech. You're letting people know, one, that it exists. Two, you're giving them the opportunity to then spotlight how it exists so they can try to reverse engineer it. And you're giving them a huge opportunity to step in and say, hey, look, we want to try to figure out these secrets and give a new focus on where have we not been looking, or where do we need to look further, or where do we need to look closer to get that information on how to get that tech, right? And in the other camp, yeah, I believe that the human race should know and be able to make friends with the other races that exist in the neighborhood and beyond the neighborhood to push our limited myopic view of existence forward and become a galactic community, or become a part of the galactic community, right? I would love to be able to see that happen. I would love to be able to have people understand that there've been entities here before we were, and they may have more claim to the earth than we do, from a who was here first perspective, right? I mean, there's a ton of stuff that I would love for people to understand, and for us to be able to interact with extraterrestrials on a more regular basis, and get to know our local and non-local neighbors, etc. But then there's the other side that is, okay, so do I really want the management of um, a space fleet, an interstellar space fleet that we have, as large or smaller as that may be, and the level of technology that we may or may not be utilizing, or experimenting with, or having access to, or setting up for defense of the planet, etc. Um, do I want all of that stuff managed by Congress? Not really. Right? Do I want a whole line of folks trying to get their soundbite in, and before they take a bunch of crap into committee and then come out with absolutely no decisions because they're too afraid to make the wrong decision, and they just want to not be responsible for doing anything, because if something's wrong, then they're going to lose their job, or lose their office, or whatever? Do I really want that process, as bad as the United States government is showing that they are? They can work efficiently. Do I really want the most advanced technology and advantage to keep us safe? Do I really want that managed by the United States government more than it kind of is? I mean, really, it's kind of out of the government's hands at this point. It's all private industry, and you have a cabal of folks who run the banks and run the military industrial complex, and they're kind of running things at this point, and the government just keeps writing a big old check. And of course, the the military industrial complex folks are like, ooh, boogeyman, and keep writing us the big checks. And it seems to be working. But it's so far it's been keeping us safe. So do I really want to hand that over to Congress? Yeah, not really. Right. So there are arguments in both sides of my head that are saying, oh, wouldn't it be awesome? Kumbaya, let's go and have a party with the aliens and have a dance party, which is what my son wants to do. But then the other side of that is, I really don't want the people who would want to do us harm to understand the level of which that they can do us harm with not a whole lot of technology, because some of that stuff is legit dangerous, legit dangerous. So I don't know if I was given the opportunity to pull the trigger tomorrow, that I would say full disclosure would be one of the things that I would consider. Partial disclosure, that's kind of the plan we're on at this point. They're kind of disclosing things at a manageable rate. Like they're just now getting to the point of, hey, the UFOs things, those are those things on the video. Yeah, we don't know what they are. They're going way faster than anything that we can ever build, and they're going up into space. They're going out in the water. They're going moving through the media of water, or the media of air, the media of space at impossible speeds because of a new instance of 3D space time that they're creating within the 3D space time that kind of slips through and doesn't have any resistance or regular physics to have to deal with. Um, they're now to the point where they're just saying, hey, these things are not earthly, or not human, at least. And so we don't know what to do. So they're not, that's the point we're at now, is that, oh, these things are real. They're not us. So they're trying to trickle it out slowly. I think there are probably multiple camps, multiple offices of folks who are battling it out on a number of folks who know some stuff, who one group says absolutely not, completely deny the whole thing. By the way, we have a fucking treaty that we're stepping on by letting people know that ETs exist, and that could screw the pooch on a number of relationships moving forward. So let's not do that. And then over here it's like, kumbaya, everybody's gonna know, man, we'll be one world human race at the point that everybody understands. There's like, 3 or 4 dozen other races coming here to hang out. We'll be a unified people, and then we'll be able to be a level 1 society and level 1 planet, and yada yada yada. And I get all that. I get it. But just like there are multiple groups of individuals out there who have different opinions about this stuff, there are going to be multiple offices that have responsibilities. They're going to have different agendas. They're going to be working against each other. They're going to be spying on each other. It's horrible. So that's kind of where I'm at, is on the whole disclosure thing. Government admitting they lied. Gasp! Aha! Yeah. What is your greatest ability? It's not about what I can do, guys. It's about what you can do and learn to do. I've proven to the folks that I need to prove stuff to what I'm capable of, and it looks like there'll be some opportunities to develop professional relationships and do some cool stuff and teach some cool things to some folks moving forward. There may be some announcements in the future connected with a brand new school that Randall Carlson wants to put in place, that he wants the mind hacking happiness stuff as a permanent resident of. And I think there may be an opportunity to have an announcement connected with the Monroe Institute at some point in the future as well. I really dig those guys, and I dig their work, and I dig the history of Bob Monroe and what he tried to do and what he was able to do. I spoke to Joe McMonagle, and I got to hang out with him for a week and had a private lunch with him. It was amazing. We talked about a whole bunch of cool stuff, and I would really love an opportunity to throw the mind mastery stuff that I develop into the mix. We'll see what happens there. Is Ridley Scott's Prometheus very far off? Is it very far off? It is not very far off. Yeah, not Congress. Yeah, I don't want to handle Congress the ET quandary. I would totally dance with an alien. I know, so would my son. He wants to do a dance party. Oh, he goes, you know what I want? He goes, you know why I want to meet the aliens? I was like, why? He goes, I want to invite him to a dance party. I was like, you know what? They would come. So I don't know if we'll live to see a level 1 society. Yeah, you and I here probably won't. But our kids and maybe our grandkids, our kids maybe, our grandkids probably. The technology is there. We have the capability, and I think we're robust and advanced enough where our minds are pliable enough that we can turn the corner on that, I think, and get it done. I appreciate that you've offered MHH at no cost. It was the best course I've ever have taken so far. Thank you. I've had so many people tell me that I need to take the price tag up on that thing, and I think we're going to go to $279 on that free course. So if you guys are watching and you haven't gotten around to pushing through the course, push through it, because it's going to be probably a couple of weeks that we take it down off of YouTube and we take it down off of the site for free and put the price tag back on it. I did want to pull the price tag down to zero for all the folks who were laid off previously in our COVID lockdown and shutdowns. But at this point, there is a huge value that people will pay for the mind mastery improvements that a lot of people have experienced. And I do need to pay my bills at some point, and would love to be able to hand my wife a ticket to quit her job, because we've needed two incomes at this point. And it would be amazing for me to be able to step in and say, you're done. Enjoy the rest of your life with running for Congress or whatever you want to do. Is having an experience when meditating, like you described in your second volume of Mind Hacking Happiness, a once in a lifetime kind of thing? It is not a once in a lifetime type of thing. It can be attained multiple times. It will present itself in different ways each time. Each time will be unique. It won't be the same thing every time. But you do have the ability to dig down into that space. And you have to understand, non-local consciousness is infinite, right? And so the complexities of the data within non-local conscious field is, of course, infinite. And you are a small, organized piece of data within. I don't know if you guys have seen those images of the looks like a neural network, but it's the connectivity of the universe itself, and they put it out online. That's how consciousness looks like from a zoomed back perspective. In fact, I mean, why wouldn't it? Because the tree roots and tree leaves and branches and connectivity of the neural networks that we have, simulated and non-simulated in our brain itself, everything follows that same pattern. And so consciousness does as well. Well, you're one of the little nodules within that huge multi-limbed brain stem broccoli thing, where things come into branches, and that's a collective consciousness, and the branches then become into larger branches, and yada yada yada. And then you're part of the one whole existence. The one whole consciousness is all one thing. But if you're a little leaf on the out of the edge of the broccoli, you're still that one little leaf, right? You're part of the whole thing. You can't exist without the whole thing. And the whole thing provides you life, and you provide information back to the stem and whatnot. That's kind of how consciousness works. But once you get out into non-local consciousness, the variations of the data that exist are infinite, and thus your experience, if you ever have the same experience twice, you'll probably be the first person ever to do so on a deep dive into consciousness, because it's non-local, everything's connected, and so it's kind of not quite random where you wind up, but what you experience is going to be different compared to what you'd experienced previously. So the experience that I explained in the blue book of the Mind Hacking Habits Volume 2, the Enlightenment experience, it probably was very similar to what Jesus experienced, very similar to what Muhammad experienced, very similar to what Krishna experienced, very similar to what Buddha experienced, because when you experience those things, you start to write in from a perspective that is very similar. And so, one of the things I want to do is go through the Gospel of Thomas and explain all the direct sayings of Jesus from the perspective that he was saying them from, because we kind of all, the people who have gone through that experience, understand from the first person perspective how those great masters could have said something. Like, I can go through all the writings of Buddha and explain to the detail of what he was talking about. Go through the Tao Te Ching and explain exactly all of the meanings and the hidden phrases behind the Tao, even though you're not supposed to talk about it. Saying even one word about infinity races you off in um, races you away from truth and light speed. You can relate to all of those other folks who tapped into the same thing, because after you tap into that one thing and you go infinite in consciousness, then you come back and you try to fit it all in. You can't, but you understand the big gist of it all. And so you can start to understand, love your brother like yourself, because there is no separation between you and other, right? There is no separation between you and me. You are just a representation of your genetics, of your experience, of your environmental variables, of all of the different things that you were faced with as a spiritual energy coming into the body that you exist, right? But ultimately, we're connected in a way that is non-separate. And so you are me and I am you from a certain perspective, right? And so when you start to put those big lessons that you experience that get rewritten into your sense of self, because that's what your subconscious mind does, it takes your experience and says, oh yeah, that's a good thing, and that's who I am, and that's what I am. That's kind of the experience that you get when you go through the enlightenment experience. All that writes your sense of self to where you can now relate to all the teachings and all the writings of the other great masters, etc. All right, I got about 30 seconds before I got to go eat my dinner because it's getting cold. Any closer to getting on JRE? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. We will see. Randall Carlson loves the Mind Hacking Happiness content, wants to see it as a permanent addition to his new school. Graham Hancock sent me an email about it the other day and asked for some follow-ups and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see. That's two of Joe Rogan's favorite guests who are asking about my content. We'll see. Is it normal to have ups and downs about 8 months into the Mind Hacking Habits journey? Yeah, look, your physiology is going to give you variations. Like, there have been times where for 2 or 3 days, I got up and I just felt like shit for no reason. No, like, psychologically. I was like, for no reason. So I used some of my own hacks. I went outside, took a walk, got some fresh air, got some sun. And it was horrible. I felt terrible for like 3 days for absolutely no reason whatsoever. There are some physiological, chemical influences in your body that will ruin your mood if you don't help manage those things moving forward. And so there's no like time frame that it actually just like tick and oh crap, now what is this life all about? And what is the real me? And I can see my mind, but I'm not really advancing, and yada yada yada. And just take a deep breath, take some time, do some stuff, get a little exercise, go out, take a walk, get some fresh air, get through that. Don't allow it to go into 2 weeks where you fall into a depression, because that's the psychological definition of depression, is a sadness that lasts longer than 2 weeks. Knock that shit out in a few days and keep going on your meditation, on your journaling, on your breathing exercises, on your mindfulness practice. All of that stuff helps you keep a positive mental attitude and keep you on the right path of staying in the positive mindset. Thanks for the stream. Hopefully there's another soon. If you have time, love your face. Have a squanchy dinner. Thank you, Jay McClan. R. Rose, love Randall. Yes. Thanks for everything. No problem. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you stopping in. You've done humanity a great service. Thank you, sir. I hope to do a lot more. We'll see. Anyway, this was a spur of the moment thing. I really had absolutely no content planned, as of course you are now aware of. But I hope things are well for you guys. I will try to get back on the content creation path now that my son's out of school and out of soccer for a little while, get reorganized, get this studio fired up, get the boys back in here for some two seals and a walrus stuff. I hope things are well for you. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.